It's critically important that in order to effectively send out the email sequence automatically and efficiently, we absolutely must have a reliable email sending service. This service should specifically allow us to send a very large number of emails all at once, because here we also genuinely need to carefully consider the crucial reputation of our domain. Let's take a much closer look at this particular aspect. Notice here we clearly have the Odoo administrative panel, and if I proceed to navigate to the settings, specifically within the email marketing settings section, you'll clearly see that here I can conveniently choose a specific option, dedicated server. Choose a dedicated outgoing server for your mass emails. It says that otherwise, Odoo will rely on the first available outgoing mail server according to your sequence, just like it does for regular emails. The point is, if we use a dedicated server, and I'll show you how to do this, we can send a huge number of emails. For example, imagine being able to send 100,000 emails each month without having them flagged as spam or whatever else. Notice if we carefully check the dedicated server option here, we could then choose one of the specific servers we've already meticulously set up. I will now save these important changes, and please notice that if we subsequently click on the Configure Mail Servers option, I can easily create a new one right here. The crucial thing is, we absolutely need the correct credentials to properly authenticate with this outgoing mail server. These outgoing servers are technically called SMTP servers. That's the fundamental protocol that is universally used for sending emails. In this video, we're going to explain how to do it with MailRelay. MailRelay is this service that offers up to 80,000 emails per month for free, which is really great. It lets us get started at no cost. As it says here, if it's free, it can't get any cheaper. Let's see how to create a free account, and then if we need to send more emails, obviously there are different pricing options, which we can see here. 80,000 per month is completely free, but depending on precisely what we specifically need, it gives us one particular price or another based on the exact quantity required, or we also have a very convenient prepaid option available. But let's carefully observe and see precisely how it effectively works. Look, I have an active account right here in MailRelay. You can clearly see here it explicitly says subscriber reputation, and I currently have a perfect 5 stars. It's also incredibly important, among various other things we will diligently do, to meticulously set up. See here, I have the complete SMTP configuration with a dedicated user, a secure and easily changeable password that we can also modify and update whenever necessary. Additionally, here within the newsletters section, you will clearly notice that we have a dedicated and comprehensive section specifically designed for managing senders, where we can meticulously add and organize all the specific senders we wish to have prominently appear when we compose and dispatch our various messages and communications. Furthermore, we are also equipped with the powerful capability to effortlessly create sophisticated and engaging landing pages, which are crucial for marketing campaigns, and to set up intricate and efficient automations that streamline our workflows. However, it is important to note that despite these extensive capabilities, we will not be utilizing all of this at this particular moment. Initially, one might consider using the relay for this particular task, but instead, we have made the deliberate decision to utilize Odoo, a comprehensive suite of business management software. Let's meticulously examine the step-by-step process of how this is accomplished. To begin, our very first action will be to establish a new account within the Odoo system. In this specific instance, we have chosen to assign it the distinctive and memorable name Philatelia Phyllis, which will serve as its unique identifier. Following this, we will proceed to accurately input the required email address into the designated field here, ensuring all details are correctly entered for proper communication and account verification. Alright, and now they've sent us an activation email. Let's activate it. They send us a link in the email. I'll activate it here so you can see. And notice we're creating your MailRelay account. By the way, it's important that the email account is a professional one, not Gmail or Hotmail, okay? Let's set a password. Here, I recommend you use a secure password. We're going to use a secure one ourselves. To begin, we must meticulously input all the necessary text information into the designated fields within the system. This critical step ensures compliance with all relevant regulations and accurate financial record keeping. Once this essential data, which includes details such as your tax identification number and business registration, has been thoroughly verified and successfully processed, we can then seamlessly proceed to the next stage. Following the successful completion of this administrative requirement, we will be fully prepared to activate and commence utilizing the comprehensive features and functionalities offered by MailRelay, thereby enabling efficient management of our email communications and campaigns. Well, once this page with the dashboard appears, we have access here. Notice that it has given us a URL. It has created a URL for us here. In this case, the domain we entered. And here, ipsmarketing.com. This will be the domain we use to log in. Also, they will send us an email with some tips. And in the first email they send us, there is a link where they will give us, it explains how to set up our email, which I'm going to show you. The link takes us here, where it shows how to configure our sender with these SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records in order to improve the deliverability of our emails by having a better reputation. And then we also receive a welcome email to MailRelay, okay? And it tells us from now on, you can start using your free account and send up to 80,000 emails per month to a list of up to 20,000 contacts. Well, this is what we're going to do. This here looks a bit complicated, doesn't it? Doing all these configurations might seem complicated, but it's actually quite simple because if we go here, look, they already give us like a step-by-step guide, okay? To import subscribers, create a newsletter, send a newsletter, but we don't need to do this. We only want the mailing law for sending emails. So I'm going to go straight to the SMTP configuration, which is the service I want, the one I'm interested in. We're going to say here that we accept. It already tells us that if we send messages over 100 kilobytes, we'll be charged more than 1 credit. And this is also important. Subscribers and databases are double opt-in. That means that the contacts we have, the ones we're going to use to send email messages, authorize us to send those emails. So it's important that we comply with this. Look at what it says here. The SPF record has not been configured for this domain, and learn how to set it up. So we'll click there, and it takes us to the step-by-step guide that also tells us exactly what we need to copy, and that's what we're going to do. Before enabling SMTP, it will be necessary to configure the SPF for all sender domains in the account. We can have more than one, but with the free account, it's only one. If we pay, we can have more than one. All right, so to be able to activate it, we're going to configure this. So we go here, and here it tells us that it can take up to 24 hours, okay? Right now, if we click to check, this is what appears. This domain has an SPF, but it doesn't have our include, and the include is what's shown here. You need to add this part here, all right? How can we do this? Well, we can just copy it. We click here, and now we go to our SPF record. So we go here. In this case, we have it in Cloudflare, but here it would be in the registrar where you have your domain. Here we've gone to the DNS section or DNS zones, depending on the site, and we go to the records. And here we have the records. We have some TXT records. But what could we do? Notice, if you don't have experience with this, we're going to click on Add a new record. And what are we going to enter? Exactly what it tells us here. This will be the name, this will be the type, and this will be the content. Type TXT, so here we click Add New. Type TXT, name, the name we want it to have, content. This is the content, okay? We copy it and paste it here and save the changes, and this record of type TXT will appear right at the very top of the list. Let's proceed now for another important one because we've just successfully completed the SPF record. And now, with careful attention, let's move on to the DKIM record. Please, for the next crucial DNS record, come on, let's meticulously follow the same exact procedure. This particular one is of the specific type CNAME, okay? So we will navigate here, and then we will add a brand new record. We will carefully select key name from the available options here, the name field. This is indeed the precise name, and the content in this particular case, that's exactly what we are going to meticulously place here. Here we disable the proxy and save, and let's add the next one, okay? The IPZ2, this one here, is also of type CNAME. So we go here, select CNAME type, this is the name, and we copy the content. We disable the proxy and save. Well, this thing about disabling the proxy that I'm doing, most likely, in your case, it's because it's a service to security that Cloudflare provides, okay? But it's possible that in your case, the custom domain option doesn't appear. This is important, so you should have it as well. So let's do the same thing. Select CNAME type. This is the name it will have. Let's put this as the name, and this is the content. We disable this and save. And finally, we have the DMARC record left. It's also of type TXT, see? So let's proceed to create a new TXT record. We will carefully input the designated name here, and then we will enter the comprehensive content and save. Okay, now we successfully have these records that we've just created. Well, now that it's all properly set up, let's take a moment to check it. Let's click right here. It might potentially take a little while. And notice it gives us an important error. Well, actually a significant warning. it clearly states that the domain currently has 2 or more SPF records, but it should only ever have 1. Please delete one of them and then try again. And here it actually lets us enter the content we had even with those 2 SPF records, because apparently there was already one that existed. As you can clearly see, there's another SPF record right here. What we truly need to do is make sure there's only one. Here it provides us with the essential information we need to carefully enter. Well, so we can accomplish this quite easily. In fact, we could simply go directly here. We will then change the content. We will put it precisely like this, save. And now for this particular one here, we are going to edit it. And in this section, we will enter this specific information here. If you take a moment to notice, it is exactly what we clearly see here. That is precisely why it filled it in automatically for us. Let's proceed to delete it. Because we've already entered that information in the SPF here. And now let's look at the other warning. It says your domain has a DMARC record with strict mode enabled. Please update the DNS record. Your hosting provider can help you if you're not sure how to do this. Well, and it tells us to go to the DMARC and enter this content. And notice that we had it down here. Do you see it here? Well then, what we're going to do is, since we already had it here, we're going to delete it. Well now finally, sometimes it takes a little while. I haven't made any changes, okay? I left it just as it was, but I waited a moment and now it tells me that this is already correct. Well, this is a big step. Having done this configuration is a big step. Let's move on to the next step. And now it will be important for us to configure the senders from which we are going to send the emails. If we go here to SMTP configuration, we're going to accept it, activate SMTP, and here we already have the information so that we can use the MailRelay service in Odoo. The thing is, as I mentioned, we still need to configure a few things so that MailRelay can use a sender, as I told you, in order to send. Let's activate tracking, and we're also going to activate the recipient validation feature. This particular one here isn't strictly necessary for the process of sending a CSV file with all the intended recipients. We are going to manage and handle everything directly through the Odoo system. Okay, now we will proceed to navigate here to the newsletters and senders section. And at this point, we are going to register a specific email address for various communications, including mailings, general emails, or comprehensive marketing campaigns, whatever you in your specific context might prefer to call it. One, from which the emails will be sent. It will be the sender or a no reply address, for example, depending on your objective. But in order to do this, to add a new sender here, it's necessary to first confirm the domain. We go to domain configuration, and here we're going to add the .com domain, which is the domain we want to use for sending emails. It's important that you do this, create domain confirmation. And here it tells us that to confirm this domain, it's necessary to create the following entry. DNS, well, just one more, okay? It truly doesn't really matter at this particular point in time. This is specifically a TXT type record. Here it's clearly shown to us in a slightly different and distinct way, but let's thoughtfully proceed. So we will carefully copy this information from here, thereby creating a brand new TXT type record. So we will then proceed to add a completely new TXT record. This particular entry will be designated as the name, and the subsequent entry will be the corresponding value, content. We then proceed to click the Save button, then confirm our action right here, and it promptly informs us that it wasn't initially possible to successfully verify the domain. Well, in such a situation, we might indeed have to patiently wait for a little while, so let's just wait for a few additional seconds. Oh, look at that. I just clicked the button again, and now, miraculously, it works perfectly. Excellent. Now the domain is officially and completely verified. So with that accomplished, let's now navigate over to the sender section, and at this point, we are finally able to create a brand new sender. This new sender, as a crucial requirement, absolutely has to be an email mailbox. So that's precisely what we're going to meticulously do. We're going to proceed here and meticulously set up the brand new sender account, which will be officially designated as Comunicaciones. Yes, that's right. Comunicaciones will be the sender name, spelled out exactly as it sounds. And the full complete email address for this sender will be comunicacionesi@numismaticafilargent.com. Okay? This is the specific and correct domain name we need to use. And from this point, we will continue. And here we have it, and here we're going to configure it because we prefer that the default email used is this one, the Comunicaciones one, okay? Good. And now that we have it like this, here we have the sender set up and validated. Keep in mind that, look, if I go here to the subscriber, notice that the subscriber's reputation still doesn't have anything because we have to wait for verification. But anyway, let's go ahead and configure. We go here to the SMTP configuration. We're going to set it up in our Odoo. We need to change the password if we want to, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll move the tab over here. I'm going to change the password and confirm it. And now here it gives us a temporary password that we can copy. Here we currently have the essential username. We also have the corresponding password. And now we will proceed here to the email section and then specifically click on the communications mail relay option, for example. Okay. We will then clearly state that we wish to authenticate with a specific username. For the crucial connection encryption, we are definitely going to select TLS. Please notice that it already prominently shows port 587 here, which is the one that the user typically utilizes. We're going to copy it and paste it here. Well, here it's complaining because I haven't entered the server, the host, which is this here. I'll paste it here, and the password is this one here. 587 is the port, so we'll enter 587 here as well. Now we click here to test the connection, and look, it tells us the server rejected the test recipient, this one here, with an error saying it's bouncing. Well, this can sometimes happen, okay? MailRelay considers this recipient as bounced, all right? This message here is from MailRelay, okay? This part here is shown to us by Odoo. But anyway, this doesn't mean it won't work for other recipients. In fact, we can test it now. Something important. Notice that we've used an email called comunicaciones, okay? It's important that the user, here in the user's profile, meaning that we are using the email address that the user has, not the username, that's something else, but the email address here, and then if we also activate developer mode and carefully go here to companies and select the company we're interested in, here where it says email domain, we click here, and here we have the bounce alias, the catch-all alias, and the default from alias. The default from, in our case, we want it to be comunicaciones, meaning we want people, when they open the email, to see that it comes from comunicaciones. And by default, it will be comunicaciones. Well, keeping that in mind, let's do a test email send. For example, let's use this test email. I'll click here on test. I'll send it to info, without a guide, send test email. And now, if I go here to the sent emails, let's refresh. Look, I have, well, this is because I just sent a message a moment ago. This one says processed. In a moment, it will say delivered. Now I go directly to my email and I've just received it. Okay? Well, it didn't say anything. It just had the unsubscribed link. But as I said, I've already received it. So now we've successfully done a comprehensive test send, and we now know with certainty that if we begin the process of sending an email, like this particular one right here that we have meticulously prepared and are ready to send, and here in the designated recipient section for the time being, I'm going to carefully input contact. And by the way, just look at this. I actually have a substantial 16,000 contacts available. So what I'm going to do is perform a preliminary test. I'm going to send it to myself first, specifically to info. Let's proceed to send this important test email. I will then navigate to my email inbox, and right here we can see how the test emails are received, comunicaciones.com. And here we can see how the test emails are received. For this reason, if we go here to the reports emails, this is the last one I sent. It takes a few seconds, but eventually it is marked as delivered. Now we could proceed to send out part of all these emails. Obviously, we first check that everything is correct. For that, it's really important to check all the links. We test them, we click on the social networks, everything that is a link. You test it to make sure everything works correctly. And then you can click here to send it to all the contacts or only to those you filter, because by default there's a filter so that it's not on the blacklist. It's important that they haven't unsubscribed, but here you can apply new rules. For example, I want to, only send it to people whose country is Spain, right? So it only goes to those in Spain. Apply whatever filters you want. And after these filters here, it tells you the number of records that match the filter, and then we click send. We'll do this in an upcoming video.